be in the world of sorghum. And I really think it's to I'm supposed to be over here. Disservice to people that don't know that yet, because, and speaking on the checkoff side, and I don't know as much as I know on the other, there's exciting things happening, and we keep bringing people and expanding what we can do for our members. And like Brad said in his presentation before, that's really exciting for us as board, that we can say, hey, look what we have done for you. Because we know there's a lot of members that have been with Sorghum for years and years and years, given your time, given your resources, and sometimes maybe never saw a return on that, and we're being able to provide that today. So we're really excited about that. We spent some time in Kansas City as a board doing strategic planning. It's a priority of ours, and this time strategic planning was like nothing we've ever done before. We're having to think out of the box because we're growing, and not just this planned, paced growth. It's coming at us at warp speed. And so we're having to be able to really pivot, which we bragged about that sorghum can do that well because we are such a small commodity. But it's been difficult. I would say there's growing pains in the best possible way. But I would commend the staff for pivoting with these quick changes, because I can stand here and say, we're growing fast, there's growing pains. I don't feel them like they do, but they have done a tremendous job. So you can be assured that that national team is working really hard on your behalf and all of ours. It's really cool to see, and I always tell people, you know, they're like, oh, how much do you get paid to be on the board? I'm like, well, I get paid when we get something done in DC. That's when I get paid, just like you get paid. If your payments come in, my payments come in, and that's how we do it. And when I think about Team Sorghum, and I was telling Greg that, it's so cool to see Team Sorghum work the way my farm does. Not every single day do we get to the job that we really want to do. Maybe we don't want to scrape pins, maybe we don't want to do whatever it is, but we do it because we have to. And that's really Team Sorghum, and that can be really daunting at times, but that's the way our farm works. We all know that, on tight margins. And we've kind of hit a little bit of a home run, if you will, in this climate smart stuff. And so we're excited to be able to pass that along to you guys and really partner up with you. Another thing Brad said that I think is really important as we go to DC, as we talk to these agencies, and we talk about data. When I first came on the board, we had FBN come approach us about trying to collect for us if we wanted to jump in with them. And our board was very hesitant because that was our data. And now today it's like, man, you got to figure out how you're going to give your data, or they're going to get it anyway. So that's something that we've really been focusing on. But NSP is very cognizant and careful of how we're going to take that data and protect it. We feel like we can say, hey, why don't you let us gather this information for you? We already have a relationship with our members where, you know, we were just visiting with NAS yesterday, and do they have a relationship with our members? No. Does USDA? Sometimes, if the FSA lady likes you know, that kind of thing. But we really do want to be trusted partners with our, you're laughing at me, it's true. Yeah. But you know, we want to be that trusted partner for our members, and we feel like we can do a really good job with that, taking your data and protecting that and using it to your benefit. I was reading something the other day, especially on carbon, that 97% of the farmers today want to get involved, but they don't know who they can trust or enough about it. 97%. I mean, it's coming at us. So I think we really see that, we as in Sorghum see that as an opportunity to educate, protect, and introduce you guys to what's out there. Certainly our goal and our main priority as we move forward on what are we going to do, who are we going to do it with, that sort of thing. So I'm really excited about that. Sorry. I would say as you prepare for, and I don't know when Nebraska goes to DC, if that's on the agenda at all or coming up, but one thing that we've heard is that they really, when I say they, members, they want to hear more from state than even national. They want as close to the farmers as they can get. And even though we can bring farmers into the office, they're still thinking, oh, you know, we want that one-on-one, the guys that just left the field, they want those state organizations. So I would say be very intentional with those relationships and those meetings. If they come out here, take the time to do it. I drag my poor kids there, and they're either, you know, the attendees are either 80 or mine that are 11. You know, I mean, there's this, and there's nobody in the middle, and I think it's really important to be that group in the middle, and just, you know, you don't have to say a word if you don't want to, but just engage with them, make that connection, because connections are important. We know that every single day when we go to DC. I always have to brag about Tim. He is so well respected in DC that it's just amazing to me, and I'm thrilled to be on his coattails and walking in with Tim Lust, because people know when Tim speaks, he knows what he's talking about, and you need to pay attention. And so again, you know, just great to be in connection with that, and the knowledge that he's got. And then that brings me to the connection with national and state. Craig Meeker, our chairman, he was in New Mexico last night, drove to, because we've got Kansas Commodity Classic right now. We're gonna head to Colorado next week. We both have said over the last couple years how important it was to us to make those connections with our state organizations. Not that we want to do anything in particular or have an agenda, but just partner up with our state organizations. You guys help us, we help you, you know, making those DC connections or however we can make that. But I think organization together is much stronger moving forward than if we're all trying to do our own little thing. Now there's things that we don't want to touch with Nebraska's because you guys have it covered. Or you may say, hey, we need your help here, or we're good right here. But I just want to encourage that open communication. I think it's good. But just really here today saying we're here to help you however we can. And it's exciting to see the growth in sorghum and how that can be across our states as well. See if there's anything I'm missing. I think, you know, again, going back to the growth real quickly, and as you guys approach these opportunities through sorghum, we're open to hearing, okay, like Mike's experienced this, like, okay, do I have to fill this out again, so on and so forth, because it is, I mean, I'm sure I complained to Brad too, or he hasn't really had to hear me complain yet, but he might. You know, that's again, the growing pains of it. But if we can help facilitate things, or if you see things that can be done different, or maybe things are happening differently in Nebraska than they are in Kansas and Texas, and certainly South Texas, because we have quite a large span of sorghum growers that just aren't the same. So I just want to encourage that as we navigate all of this growth, that we want to hear how we can help you and what those programs look like. And I mean, I think this is just the beginning of a lot of really great things in sorghum. And I think we've been saying that for the last few years, but to see things kind of come to fruition has been really exciting. So I don't know, I didn't have a slideshow, I don't have any great things to say. Yeah.
I would like to know, when you go to DC, and when you're with Tim, you have appointments and everything, so it's a little more choreographed, but what is your elevator speech when you're there if you meet someone?
It depends on the office. You know, we have great leadership in Kansas, so it's very comfortable, which you kind of have to be careful about too, that everybody's not too comfortable. And it depends on what's happening at the moment. You know, we're talking about Farm Bill, we're talking about reference price, we're talking about don't touch crop insurance, ARC PLC, all of those things. So it really depends on the office, what they oversee, and the committees that they're in is really what we visit about. But it is, and another thing, I couldn't find the statistic, and maybe you remember, Greg, the amount of members that have been through a farm bill before is minimal. I mean,
37%.
yeah, 30%.
What
do you mean
sitting on the ag committee?
Been through it.
Right, that have gone through the farm bill process,
Yeah.
writing and marking it up.
Oh, you mean like
Yeah,
the DC people?
right, I'm
Got it.
sorry, yeah. So our members, that's a lot of what happens, and we have great lobbyists that help educate too, but just having those conversations and being a trusted resource for them. So if they're saying, hey, what's going on here, you better bet you want your name at the top of the list when they've got a question, opposed to Joe Schmo who doesn't know anything, you know. But that's staggering when you think about how many people have been through the process of writing a farm bill, and the education element that's taking place. Because you know, we keep talking about how many people are connected to the farm, and it gets less and less. Talk about how many people are connected in DC to a farm. I don't even know. Staggering. And a little unnerving at times. So they're listening for everything, and we want to make sure that our voice is the loudest and trusted.
Amy, you've been involved in organizations outside of Sorghum. You've been actively involved in Farm Bureau, both at the state and national level. Why Sorghum? Why are you rolling up your sleeves, taking time away from home to commit your time and skills and energy to Sorghum?
I think, well, I'll take us back to the NAS conversation we had yesterday, and sorghum is a small commodity, you know, compared to the others. But in my farm, it's our biggest commodity. And so to make sure that the sorghum story is heard, just to make sure that the sorghum people are recognized the same as the other commodities, sure, I grow some corn, I grow wheat, you know, so I wear those other hats as well. But my father-in-law, who passed away in 2019, he said sorghum for him was what saved his farm in the 80s. He did lose some of it, but he's like, sorghum was the poor man's crop. He's like, that's the only way we're here today, is because it was the only thing I could afford to plant. And it just fits for us. So I don't know that I really answered that, but I know that making a difference still for that next generation, and I see these opportunities coming down the pike for sorghum, and really the policy avenue is really important. And I think a lot of times in the bigger organizations, you're just another bobblehead, if you will, and not to discount any other ones. But sorghum, we are always fighting, and should be fighting with the big, looks like we're fighting with the big dogs, and we've got very little compared to the others. And it's really exciting to kind of be that underdog and continue to win these battles. So maybe that's why, I don't know, I kind of like a challenge, and I think sorghum has given that, and you know, you just like to be that element of surprise, and sorghum certainly has been over the last few years and continues to be. So that's what I got. I would again encourage any and all communication back and forth. I think we've got good communications, and y'all have been going through growing pains as well, and change, and sometimes change is looked or frowned upon, but I would just challenge you to see the change being something good and potential. So, and that's what I see in Nebraska, and hopefully we'll get some more people here next year. And I think if they start hearing that we're actually passing out some funds, like accuse Brad of being Oprah, you know, like, and you get one and you get one. But that's really our goal, and as exciting as it is to be able to give back to our producers, really the steps that we're taking sorghum in, and I say we, I'm not doing any of it, it's the staff, they're doing great things. But I just think, hold on to your shorts, we're getting ready to go for a good ride, and it'll be exciting. So we appreciate Nebraska and everything you guys did and allowing us to come up. So thanks very much. Oh yeah.
Have you